I'm gonna tell this last joke. Okay, thanks. It's a Christmas joke. This is the last time I'm gonna tell it until October. But it happened okay, I'm very fortunate. I get to write for this television show. I'm not going to tell you what show because this joke is about my coworkers. I share an office with this woman named Claire. Claire is very talented. She's written for a lot of shows. I really look up to Claire and I admire all her work. I've told her as much to her face. Claire happens to be Canadian, and I'm so progressive, I don't even care. And so we're at the holiday party this last year, and we're all hanging out, getting drunk, and the boss gives a little speech. He's like, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Joyous Kwanzaa, and then as a little joke he goes, did I leave anybody out? And then as a little joke, Claire goes, don't forget Boxing Day, and then I, as a little joke, go, shut up, immigrant! Everybody laughs and it's a nice time of going holiday break. My wife and I celebrate the Santa Claus version of Christmas, and we observe Kwanzaa, by which I mean we look at the calendar and go, oh, it's Kwanzaa. Good for whoever that's for. So I went back to work in January, and as soon as I got there, my boss was like, I need to talk to you. And he was like, HR needs you to go to her office. And I was like, why? And it's like, because you called Claire a fucking immigrant. I was like, well, she's a fucking immigrant. And he was like, I know that. So I went to Claire, and I was like, Claire, I'm sorry I called you a fucking immigrant. She was like, I'm a fucking immigrant. So I went to HR, and HR was like, do you know why you're here? And I was like, no. I was like, it's because you called someone a fucking immigrant. I was like, all right, but she's Canadian. That's not, like, real. Like, Canada is just a liberal part of North Dakota. And she was like, it is real. All immigrants are immigrants, and you can't say that to anyone. For example, you wouldn't say that about a Mexican, would you? And I said, of course not. I respect Mexicans. And she was like, you can't say those things. And I was like, you're overreacting. Like, I just talk shit about a Canuck. And she went, that's the C word. I was like, no, it's not. And she's like, you can't say Canuck. Calling a Canadian a Canuck is like calling an African American the N-word. And I went, Deborah, we both know that's not true. She was like, well, whatever, you can't say either one in a workplace. And I was like, I'm pretty sure I can say one of them. And she was like, no, you can't. And I went, nigga, 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 nigga. And she was like, that's strike two. I was like, what the fuck? You're acting like a real fucking Canadian right now. And she went, I am a fucking Canadian. And I should have stopped, but because comedy really is a bad, unhealthy thing to do, because a healthy, reasonable person goes, oh, I should stop digging this hole for myself. But at this point in my life, I go, what if there's gold in these here hills? So I go, that's what's wrong with my country, is you people keep coming here and taking all our good HR jobs. And she went, what do you mean, you people? And that's the first time I've ever been on the receiving end of that question. And I said, you know exactly what I mean, you goddamn Canuck nigger. And if you've never called a white woman in white-collar America the N-word, I cannot recommend it either. So she tried to get me fired. She wrote up a whole incident report, but every time she handed it to one of the people who I work for, they laughed. And eventually she gave it to my main boss. My main boss has like an indoor window. You guys know, like it reminds me of a principal's office because you can look in, but you're still inside. And I was sitting outside and I overheard her talking to him. It was like, you have to fire him. And he was like, we can't fire our only black writer for using the N-word against Canadians. And then she said, Canadian lives matter, and I should have stopped myself, but I couldn't, so I stood up on the other end of the window with a raised fist and went, Seth Rogen, Avril Lavigne, the Bare Naked Ladies, say their names! And so as a compromise, instead of getting fired, they sent me to workplace sensitivity training. So every Saturday for all of January, I had to drive across town to a Courtyard Marriott Conference Center where a different white woman would tell me why bigotry is wrong. And the first time I got there, I walked in and there were two white guys and two Asian women. Like it was one white guy here, one white guy here, and two Asian women kind of by him, but not like they like. And like, I don't want to sound prejudicial, but when you go to workplace sensitivity training and you see two white guys, you're like, all right, I have an idea of what they did. When you see two Asian women, you're like, what the fuck did they do? So the white woman comes in and she's like, let's go. This is about getting better. This is about embracing change. You can't get better without admitting what you did wrong. Let's go in a circle and say why we're here. And she pointed to the first white guy. She was like, why are you here? And he was like, well, our old secretary quit, so we hired this new little number. She's a young woman. She came in. I saw her. I asked her, are you our new secretary? She said, yes, I am. I said, hope your tastes better than the last one. And she got mad because she thought I wanted to lick a pussy when I was just joking about cannibalism. And then she pointed to the next white guy. I was like, what did you do? And he was like, I confused these two Asian women, but to be fair, I don't give a shit. And then the woman pointed to the Asian, like, ladies, why are you here? And it turned out, I don't know how much you guys know about world history. I didn't know about this till workplace sensitivity training, so I can't say it didn't help, but he confused a Vietnamese woman for a Cambodian woman. And Vietnam has done such terrible things to Cambodia that when it happened, the Cambodian woman stood up and said, I'm nothing like those fucking people. And then the Vietnamese woman said something in Vietnamese, and I don't speak Vietnamese, but whatever she said was racist as hell. And then the lady pointed to me and was like, why are you here? And I wanted to be like, oh, you know, I made a mistake. I took a joke too far, and I should have realized that the audience expanded beyond my capacity as a performer. That's my mistake. But I didn't want to be the only non-bigot in workplaces. And also, it's the whitest. It made me understand white people more because, like, in that moment, doing what was right was defeated by needing to fit in. So, and so I was just like, oh, I guess I'm here for loving my country. And then I ranted for 5 minutes about how white immigrants should be shot in the head. And I don't remember exactly what I said, but I hit just the perfect stride of jingoistic bullshit that afterwards the racist white guy stood up and said, amen, brother! And then when it was all done, I went back to work and I did feel bad. I just want you guys to know, this part isn't like super funny either, but I went to the white woman who ran HR afterwards and I was like, hey, I guess how I feel towards you is how racist people feel in general. Like, I feel like it's okay to make fun of you because of what you are, and I guess maybe that's wrong, and I should rethink it. And I apologize. And she said, thank you for saying that. I also took it too far. You just telling a joke, and I realized that in this country you're more pressed than in my country, even though there's this whole math. And then, you know, if I had to let it stop there, I think it would have been beautiful. I look over to her wall, and I see this picture of she, her husband, and her kid, and I go, oh. Is that your fucking anchor, baby? Okay, thank you guys very much. Give it up for Danny. Have a good rest of